are going to learn to find equivalent ratios and to identify proportions. So we have some vocabulary words. You'll want to write these down and define them with the next slide. Equivalent ratios. These are ratios that name the same comparison. For example, the ratio 6/4 and 21/14, if we reduce them, we would get 3/2 for both of them. So those two are equivalent ratios. They are the same ratio. When they are simplified, they are 3/2. That's an equivalent ratio. Then we have proportions. An equation stating that two ratios are equivalent is called a proportion. So the only difference here is we're going to put an equal sign between them and say that they are proportional. So we know that 6/4 and 21/14 are equivalent. We found that out in the last slide. So now that we know they're equivalent, we can put an equal sign in between them, and that's called a proportion. So you read the proportion 6/4 is equal to 21/14. That's how we're going to read proportions. All right, so if two ratios are equivalent, they are said to be proportional to each other or in proportion. We need to determine whether the ratios are proportional. We have 24/51 and 72/28. The first thing we have to do is simplify both ratios. So 24/51, 3 goes into both of them and it simplifies to 8/17. Then we're going to simplify 72/128. If we divide both of them by 8, we get 9/16. So are these two proportional? That means, are these two equivalent ratios? They are not equivalent ratios, so they are not proportional. Okay, let's try another one. We're going to determine if 150/105 is equal to 90/63. So we're going to simplify again. We'll take the first one and simplify it. We'll divide both of them by 15, and we get 10/7. Now we'll simplify 90/63. We divide both of them by 9, and we get 10/7. Are they both equivalent ratios? Yes, they are. So these ratios are proportional. Okay, we're going to let you try this one on your own. You can pause here. All right, let's go through this one. We're going to do the exact same thing. So to test if they're proportional, we're going to simplify. We divide both of them by 9 and get 6/7. Simplify the next one. We divide by 72 and get 1/2. Is 1/2 equivalent to 6/7? No, so they are not proportional.
You can find equivalent ratios by multiplying or dividing both terms of a ratio by the same number. So if I have one singular fraction, I can make changes to it to see what other equivalent fractions might be. So 3/5, for example. I can make 3/5 bigger or smaller, and it would be an equivalent fraction so long as I change at the same rate. What I mean by change, I mean multiply. So let's say 3/5. If I pick a number like 2 and I want to multiply 3/5 by 2, well, 3/5 times 2, I do both the numerator and denominator, I get 6/10. 6/10 is an equivalent fraction. Now, I didn't have to do 2. I could multiply by 3, I could multiply by 10, I could do anything for that. So 28/16, you can kind of think, once again, if I multiply by any number, so let's say 4 this time, take the divide this time. 28 divided by 4, I get 7. 16 divided by 4, I get 4. But I could multiply, I could divide, so long as I'm doing it by the same number. You'll notice both the numerator and the denominator, I'm making the changes by the same value. So pause here, and I want you to try out 2/3. Just think of a possibility. Now, we're going to check this in a second. Your answer might not be exactly the same, so if you need us to check it during class time, we're more than happy to do that. So try 2/3. All right, so we're going to make the change of these by doing a multiplication of 3. If you did 2, you still just see if you followed the same steps. multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number. So in this case it was 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 6/9 is equivalent to 2/3. Try 16/12. Try to divide in this case. I want you to pick out a number that you can divide. Alright, so we're going to try dividing by 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 16/12 and 4/3 are equivalent to each other. Simplifying, anytime you can simplify a fraction down, you have found an equivalent answer to it. So this is going to be your practice quiz. I want you to solve these problems and bring it into class and be ready to talk about these. At any point you want to rewind and review some of the previous problems to answer these, you are more than welcome to. Thank you.